Hello and welcome back to Crowing FPV. So in this video, I am going to finally do my review on the Fat Shark Scout HDs running Sharkbyte on this guy. I had some issues with my goggles. I wasn't getting any kind of OSD. I didn't get the update firmware update cable in the mail, and they sent me the cable. I plugged the cable in, broke the update port, RMA'd it, got the new ones back the other day. So now here I am going to do my review on it. So let's take a peek. Now let me start with, I purchased it a little bit ago. They had everything, and I think at this point in time right now, they have everything still on sale. And it's kind of promotional prices. They're just trying to get this out there to people and get people to experience what Sharkbyte is. And I would say, I mean, it works. It works very good, and it's very, very inexpensive when you're comparing it to DJI. I think I spent on the goggles, the VTX, antennas, extra MIPI cables, pretty much everything I need to get one quad set up, the goggles set up. I think I spent less than $400 total. That's including tax, shipping, whatnot. If I were to go with the DJI, just for the goggles, it would have cost me, $500 something just for the goggles, and then $180 for an air unit, depending on which one you go with. Oh yeah, also the camera. That's including the HD camera. When I first put these on, and I first flew it, I was really impressed. I thought it looked fantastic. I thought it looked amazing. And it does. It looks good. It looks very, very good in the goggle. The DVR, however, doesn't. It doesn't look very good at all. The DVR recording is really poor. It doesn't justify what you're seeing in the goggles. And let's be fair, what you're seeing in the goggles is more important than a DVR. But it would be nice to also have a good DVR. I mean, why not? Now, I was also coming from running Dominator 3s, but I was using the original module in there. And I have since recently updated to the Foxeer Wildfire with the diversity with some new antennas. And I gotta say, the quality of it is spectacular compared to what I did have. And I would say DVR-wise, what I'm pulling out, what I'm seeing in the goggles here is about the same quality as a DVR that I'm pulling off of the Scout HDs. And the only difference really is the size. The size of the file. I'm not sure if it's actually 1080p. I think it's actually 720 from the DVR. And then out of here, it's like 480 or something like that. It's not fantastic. But, you know, this is a very good option still. I mean, they work fantastic. As I said, what comes out of the goggle into your eyes is what really is the most important, and it looks great. It does. I mean, I can see twigs, I can see a lot of small, fine detail, where on the analog, sometimes you just can't. It's very lightweight. It's not very heavy. It's comfortable on the face. It's got true diversity here. It's actually got quadversity, I think is what they call it. Because in the front, there's actually two patch antennas in the front behind here. And when I had my old pair, or not my old pair, but my previous pair apart, they're definitely Fat Shark patch antennas in there. And then you have these. So you get pretty good directional reception. You go behind some trees, and I'll show you here in just a minute when I go switch to all the footage here. You start flying around trees, like a lot of trees, signal starts to break up pretty good, and not that very far away. So signal strength and penetration is not super great. Here, this here, The Runcam HD Nano is actually, it's not bad. It's not that new HD0 that's coming out that everybody's raving about, and I'm seeing some really crazy DVR footage from that. But I can't complain. Back to the goggles. So you have three buttons here. It's pretty simple, pretty basic. Once you plug in here with the cord, it doesn't come with, like previous models came with a Fat Shark battery. This doesn't. This comes with a Fat Shark cable so that you can plug into a battery and throw it in your pocket and run it off that. This has an automatic fan built into it so that when you do plug it in, the fan is automatically on, so you don't have to mess around with plugging a balance lead into here, hoping that it's not busted out or anything like that, like mine has, and then pressing a button to turn on your fan. And fan's on. So that's nice. But it also means that it drains the battery a little bit faster because it's constantly running a fan and you don't have a choice in that matter, which I guess it doesn't really matter. One thing I have noticed is that it does not fog up on me. I have not had an instance here, even in 90-degree days, where it's fogged up on me. So the fan definitely works. And my Dominators, it could be, I've had that fog up on me several times, even with the fan on. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers really everything. Okay, so first things first. First thing I want to do is I want to update the goggles. So in order to update the goggles, what we need to do is, first of all, we need to download the correct drivers, the bin files. Here's the Fat Shark, Sharkbyte, help documents and downloads. So this is the current Sharkbyte firmware for your VTX. I have the TX5 S.1, so this is the one I'm going to download. Go ahead and download that. And then for the goggles, it's a Scout HD, so I'm going to grab that one. Versus this one. This is for the actual module that attaches to your goggles. So if you have that one, use this. So now once they're downloaded, it's just simply unpacking them. And as you can see, here's the bin file. Now the bin file got changed because I have multiple ones in here, so it just appended it and put a new number on it. That has to change if that happens, because it won't work otherwise. So I'm going to go into my SD card and drop it in there, and then just simply get rid of that 3 and a space. Now this is for uploading or updating your VTX. You use this one on there. Otherwise, you do extract Scout HD zip file, and it's going to give you a folder. Once you go into the folder, you have these 4 items here, 5 items here. You just grab, and drop them onto your SD card. So we're going to start with the goggles. I'm going to see if I can get this in focus with my downward angle GoPro. They're not the easiest to see into from this perspective because of the way that they work is they kind of have a focal point that causes you to look more outward, so everything looks wider. But when you're from far away, it looks kind of funny in there. It looks like the screen is split. But when you put it closer to your eyes, everything comes into focus. So I'm going to do what I can because it's not going to record. Did I really just give it a command and it stopped recording? GoPro record. GoPro start recording. Okay. So I guess voice commands are on. All right. So let me plug this in. As soon as you plug it in, I'm going to look here. Not sure how well you're going to be able to see that in there. I can't tell. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. So what it's saying right now is it is, so it's saying it's writing Sharkbyte. And it's going to go through and do this for a while. Now, once it's done doing that, it's going to move on to the next file. So you got to make sure that you put all the files in that zip file. So now it's on the big one. This is going to take a while, so I'm just going to kind of skip forward through all this. GoPro, stop recording. It is now done writing. You see in there, it is saying, let me find it here. Can't really tell if you can see that or not. But pretty much what it's saying is firmware update successfully. Repower the VRX now. So, repower it, of course, you just simply unplug it. Pop out the SD card. Plug it back in, and it should boot right up. There we go. It's all booted up. Maybe you can see that, maybe you can't. So it's booted up and it's ready to go. So now the next thing I need to do is I need to put onto this SD card, I need to put the TX firmware update, which is for the VTX. I'm gonna bring back this. Now this is a very important part, and you got to be very, very careful with this. This is, as soon as it gets into focus here, this is the firmware update cable. This firmware update cable, you have to be really, really careful with this when you put it into the firmware update port. I broke mine the other time. It actually fits in there kind of loose. I noticed that sometimes when I plug it into my VTX, that it just kind of, it wobbles around in there, and if you push too hard, you'll literally snap this off inside the case, and that's not a good thing to do. I had that issue last time, and I went to actually resolder it back on, and it was too broken, too damaged. So thankfully they were kind enough to do a warranty replacement, an RMA for it. So now I am going to plug this in here. I'm only pushing just on the cable like that. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm not going any harder with that at all. Just because I don't want a repeat of what happened last time. So I'm a little scared is probably the correct word. Okay, so now after I do that, I'm going to plug this into VTX, which the plug is right on the top. Now, if you're building a quad and you're going with Sharkbyte, do yourself a favor and do this beforehand, because not all quads are you going to mount the VTX on the outside where it's visible and easily accessible. You're going to end up putting it under the canopy where it's safe and secure, but unfortunately on this guy, it's the only place I could put it. So now I have the SD card in. I'm going to plug this in, and I got to be careful with this here. All right, so as you can see, I'm getting power to my VTX, and oh, don't lose power. I'm not really gonna be able to move it to show you, but it's pretty much just in there saying write HD0TX. It's saying it's right done. Firmware is now successfully updated to my VTX. So that's done. Blue light's on, ready to roll. Unplug this, unplug that, and now both your goggles and your VTX are now updated to the current version. And you want to do this right off the bat. Just update this thing. Because not having an OSD really sucks. This is the Fat Shark Sharkbyte manual here. And as you can see, right when you first get into it, it's showing the Sharkbyte module. But we're going to skip past a lot of this. A lot of this is more for setting up and installing and soldering and where to connect everything. But this is not what we're looking at. At this point, everything is already installed. What we want, once I can get to it here. So, I apologize, it's page 11. So, this is a very important aspect to what you're needing to do, to getting the OSD to work. This is the commands that you put into the CLI in order for Sharkbyte to work properly. So I'm going to plug in my quad, and it might shut off my one light, but that's all right. Just shut my light off. All right, so we're in Betaflight here, and I'm going to go down to ports. Now on this particular quad, UART 4 is what I'm connected into. This is it right here. So I have that turned on. Now if I go down to the CLI, here we go. So when we're in here, you're going to want to copy and paste this into your CLI, these two commands. Press enter, there we go. And then you put in the second command. Let's copy that. But this is where it gets a little different. Here, your UART, if you remember what your UART number is, excuse me, this is where you have to go -1. So if your UART is TX1 for your VTX, then you need to put a 0 in here, because it's always going to be -1, because it starts at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, where on Betaflight it starts at 1. So everything is minus, subtracted once. So I need to put UART 3. And so set display port MSP serial equals 3 for UART 4. Yes, that might be a little confusing. Just remember, whatever UART that you have appear under ports, subtract 1. Press enter, and then you would hit save, and that's it. That's all you have to do for that. One thing you do want to have set up here, after you do that, is you come in here and you make sure OSD is on, and then you come down to OSD, look at the Sharkbyte manual, and they're going to show you which ones are available. These are all that the VTX can display to your, all the OSD you can display through your VTX. So now you come in here and you choose what you want and how you want to display it. Now this is set to a different resolution than what the Fat Sharks can do. So that's why I kind of have these things over here. Just play around with it and you'll see what I'm talking about in order to get everything where you want it to be. And that's it. I mean, that's how simple it is to do your OSD. I'm just going to show you just some footage straight from the DVR on the Scout HDs. It looks good. There's some jello going on with it, and that has to do with my mount, which is not a big deal. Looks fine. But as you'll see here in just a second, once I get around these trees, yep, there you go. You start getting a lot of breakup. It's just not penetrating those trees, which I suppose I can understand. There's also a hill back there too, so it's not just trees. But yeah, I mean, this is what Fat Shark looks like. Now I'm gonna show you a comparison with the SMO 4K. You can see size difference, you can see color difference, you can see just the straight out comparison between the two of them. And of course, the SMO is being stabilized, and I move myself from around that hill. But I still get some breakup, and I think a lot of it has to do with the Wi-Fi in these houses when I get close to them, but it's very subtle. Just that right there, and there's nothing in between us and we're close, but still getting some of that breakup, which can be a little annoying. And there it goes. And that was a stupid move on my part. All right, so here, I'm just showing you the difference between analog and Sharkbyte. And the analog that I'm using on this is my older style analog. I didn't update it. And in your goggles, it looks fine. And that concludes today's video. So I really appreciate you coming out and watching this. If you do me a huge favor, click that bell, hit that thumbs up, and press subscribe. Thank you.